Hey everybody, Diane Covington here, and I'm excited because tonight's advanced training is all going to be on the DISC. So some of you might be familiar with that. It's really about personality profiling, not only understanding your style, but the person you're meeting with, and then how do you change your delivery so that they can resonate and understand you better? And more importantly, how are you perceived by them? I think that is the most important takeaway of this whole thing. So one is figuring out, well, what style are you? And I am going to post on our boards like a little self quiz. It's like the very condensed version of the whole DISC survey thing. So you'll take a little self quiz, and then you'll also see some sheets uploaded on boards. So the self quiz just looks like this. It's just like a half sheet that I made. And what you do is you look straight across, just get a straight edge, like a ruler or something. And you literally hold your ruler up against here and you look at the 4 words in the top row. And they say quick decisions, loves to talk, loyal, or perfectionist. And what you want to do is you want to circle the one that describes you the most and cross out the one that describes you the least. So out of all of these, I would say probably, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to be good at quick decisions, but I'm probably not as good at that as I think I should be. I'm probably, I don't want to say the least loyal, but that was, I don't know, maybe perfectionist would be the least, and then loves to talk, maybe, I don't know. So then you go to the next one, likes to manage, motivational, slow to change, serious. Again, circle the one that describes you the most, cross out the one that describes you the least. So when you're done, you should have a circle and a cross out on every row. And that kind of helps you determine your personality style. And again, this is a very kindergarten version of the actual DISC quiz. All right. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take a piece of paper and you're going to draw a line down the center and you're going to draw a line left to right. So you're going to have 4 equal squares, all right? And I want you to put in the squares D up here. So in the upper left corner, you're going to put D here, I here, S here, and C here. So it goes D-I-S-C. That's really important. Just draw the letters. Even if you don't know what they stand for, doesn't matter. Just put D-I-S-C. Now, for D, I want you to put dominant, quick decision maker. We'll just leave it at that. I is going to be influencing, more animated, higher energy typically. The S is steadiness. And the last one, C, is conscientious, more detail oriented. Now, the reason why I want to explain it to you this way is when you look at this page, and I'm just going to use this actual page, and these will all be loaded up on boards later. But if you just look at I'm going to cover this up, the left side of the page, the D and the C are what you call task oriented. So let's say I have an appointment with Marty, and I don't know Marty. Maybe she came as a referral, or maybe she was my hostess, and I don't know her very well, but maybe I've spent hour with her. So I might kind of know a little bit about her personality style. So when you're trying to figure out someone's style, an easy way to narrow it down is for me to say, okay, so on this side of the fold, they are task-oriented people, all right? On this side of the circle, they are people-oriented. So one is task, one is people. Then on the top, these people are outgoing or extroverts, the D's and the I's. And then on the bottom half are the introverts or reserved, which is the C and the S. Does that sort of make sense? So you've got task-oriented, people-oriented. You've got outgoing and introvert. So if I met Marty, I would say, okay, so I would consider Marty you outgoing. So I'm assuming she's one of these. And I'm going to say, so that helps me eliminate 2, right? And then I'm going to say, is she more task or more people? I would say she's more people. So I would say that Marty probably has more I in her maybe than anything else, but she might have a few others that are close. It's not uncommon that you have more than one in you're more than one that's high. Typically, one of the 4 is higher than the other. Sometimes you'll see people that with 2 or 3 that are very, very close, but most of the time, 1 or 2 of them are higher than the rest. So if you've got your piece of paper, I'm going to give you some things to fill in here. So the D personality, the dominance. This is someone who's very results oriented, very career focused. They make decisions quickly. It's going to be a short appointment. She just wants you to cut to the chase, tell her how much money she can make. How do you get to become a director? How do you get a car? That kind of thing. All right. The I's, the I personality is, she's going to talk a little bit more about herself. So the D will talk more about her job and her accomplishments. The I personality will talk about herself, what she likes. She's very people-oriented, very expressive, recognizes, she loves recognition, very recognition-oriented. Not so much into the details. She loves working with people, prizes, going to seminar, all kinds of things like that. This is typically a little bit of a longer sharing appointment when you're sharing the career opportunity, because she's going to not pay attention as much to the detail. She wants to know a lot of things about self-development and girlfriends and, I stories. Show me people who've been successful. All right. Now we're going to go to the S. So these are both people-oriented people, right? So the S is steadiness. They're going to talk more about their family, their kids, church, very security focused, very loyal, easygoing, abides by the rules. Now, it doesn't mean if you don't have a lot of that you don't abide by the rules or anything, okay? Slow to change. So this team building appointment, you're going to give very simple explanations. You're going to share the facts about how much. They're going to ask you things like, what's your profit? How much does it cost to get started? What's in the starter kit? All those kinds of things. How do I get support? Where is there training? Those kinds of things are very important, okay? This is probably going to be where she'll get information and then she will sign. You'll make another appointment with her, and that's the appointment she'll actually sign up on, because she'll go home and talk to her husband, whatever. All right. The C personality is going to ask a lot of clarifying questions. Like when you first meet with them and you say, well, you know what, Marty, tell me about you. If she starts talking about her job and her accomplishments, she might be here. If she talks about her family, that kind of stuff, she's here. If she talks about different companies and what she loved and all the customers at her former business that she keeps in touch with, she might be here. But if she comes back and says to you, well, what would you like to know? Before she even answers you, she's probably got quite a bit of C in her, because they don't want to give you wrong information. They only want to give you the information you asked for. So if I say, well, Marty, tell me about you, and she comes back and says, well, what would you like to know? I know that she definitely has some C in her personality. All right, so this is gonna, these are very detail-oriented people, perfectionist, very organized. They love facts and figures. This, on a team building appointment, you want to be concise. They want to know things about the company's credibility. We've been around 60 years. We are family owned, debt free. Those are all, not that the other groups don't like that, but that really rings the bell for this one personality style. Okay. So she's going to want to know things like, our products are made in Dallas. Our warehouse has, or manufacturing facilities got 100% renewable energy. Like, those are the buzzwords and the things that are really important to them. Okay. Remember, they're more introverts. They're more extroverts. They're more people-oriented. They're more task-oriented. Does that make sense? So does anybody just type in the chat if you think you know what your highest one is? Like, you generally typically have more than one that's high. Like, you might say, well, I'm definitely got I and me and something else. So if you happen to think you know what you are, just type it in the chat. It'd be super fun. All right, so this is you understanding you, right? Now let's talk about, how do you share information and how are you perceived? So I'm going to give you a couple things. With the D, so again, here's the D, I, S, and the C. So with the D, the things you want to emphasize, the things that you want to touch on, are things about the culture. Their emphasis is all about getting immediate results, taking action, accepting challenges. They want to know, like, how fast can I do this? How fast can I do that? Their fear, and this is really, really important. So D's are motivated, write this down. D's are motivated by challenge, power and authority, and direct answers. Okay. Now, what they fear, and this is really important, they don't fear much, first of all, but D's fear loss of control in their environment or being taken advantage of. So D's don't want to be taken advantage of or lose control in their environment. You will notice self-confidence, directness, decisiveness, and risk-taking. That's very common, okay? What they sometimes lack is they lack concern for others, or they can be impatient. So you might just jot that down, all right? Now the I, they emphasize, sorry about that, they emphasize, they love being involved with people. Making a favorable impression on people is really important to them. What they're motivated by is social recognition. So as soon as you let her know that you have a customer VIP page, or you're going to include her in those kinds of things, that means a lot. Group activities, relationships, self-development. It's all about interacting, getting together with people. What an I fears is social rejection. That's why the Mary Kay community is so important to them, because they love the sisterhood and the camaraderie. Disapproval and loss of influence. They love to be an influencer. So when they know they're going to have a VIP page that they could go live every week and help inform their customers on the best things to buy, they get excited about that. Okay. Their limits. Okay. So you will notice they've enthusiasm, a lot of sociability, and a lot of optimism. They're always very optimistic. All right. What an I might be limited on is their impulsiveness. They tend to like jump right into the fire. Their disorganization. Now I know high I's don't get upset, but sometimes they have issues finding papers or finding details, and following a task. So they're great at starting, not as great at finishing. So they are out the starting gate, 200% momentum, 200% energy. And that's one of their limitations, is lack of follow through. All right, so let's go down here to the S. The S tends to be calm. Can you tell I don't have a lot of S in me? No, I'm kidding. Calm, patient, loyal, great listeners. They're motivated by infrequent change. So if you say to an S, you need to go to seminar, it'll change your life, she won't want to go. Cecile, you're going, that is me to a T. I'm an I. Good for you, babe. So here's the deal. If I said to somebody who's an S, go to seminar, it'll change your life, they're going to go, I don't want to change my life. I love my life. So be careful the words, like, and I might say, oh, we're going to have so much fun, it'll change your life. And they're like, oh, maybe not. So they do not like frequent change. They love stability, sincere appreciation. When they've done a good job, they really, truly appreciate being acknowledged for that. They love cooperating. They love like team projects and stuff. Here's what they fear. So an S fears loss of stability. So this is where you say to the S, this is great. You can work your Mary Kay around your family. You'll be able to call the shots, because they want stability. The unknown stresses them out, change stresses them out, and unpredictability. So when they see the calendar for the month and they can count on every Wednesday night, Janice is on Zoom, every Tuesday night, we have Tuesday night live at 6:30. Every Thursday we have a sharing event. They like that. We all like that, but they specifically like that structure. Here's what their limitations are. Overly willing to give, meaning sometimes tends to be a people pleaser, and they tend to put their needs last. And I know sometimes that is the way we were raised, but that just kind of give you an overview. And the very last one, because I have a lot more to cover. Okay, so now we're at the C. So these people love paying attention to standards and details. They're very analytical thinkers. All right. They are motivated by clearly defined performance expectations. Like, you have a $300 week, you get a prize in the mail. You do 1,800 wholesale on a quarter or more, you get prizes from Mary Kay. Like, they like that you do this, you're guaranteed this. You do this, you're guaranteed that. That's one of the reasons why C's do very well in Mary Kay, because it's a very laid out. You do 30 faces in 30 days, it's a power start. You get your first team member in your first 30 days, you win your pearls of sharing. So they love all that predictability. What they're motivated by is clearly defined performance expectations, quality and accuracy being valued. So they don't, so what's interesting is you put a C and an I on the same project. The C is going to be going, but we have to measure this exactly. And the I is already drawn it on a board. She's like, well, it's okay if it doesn't matter if it's measured. It looks good enough. And the C is going to go, oh my God, we need to remake the sign. It doesn't look that good. All right. Their fear is criticism of their work. So you got to be really, really careful. If you are not a C, and let's say you're a D or an I, and you go, well, it doesn't matter if your stuff doesn't look that good. I got it covered. They're going to just so take that personally, even though it isn't meant to be mean or intentional. Do you know what I'm saying? All right. You will notice that they, diplomacy, analysis, skepticism, and introversion. So they're a little bit introverted. Here's their limitations. Overly critical of themselves and others. Indecisiveness because of desire to collect and analyze all the data. So they're going to say, well, I don't want to, what would be a good example? Well, I don't want to make Mother's Day gifts until I call my 10 friends and find out what kind of Mother's Day gifts they're thinking, because I want to make a Mother's Day gift to present on Zoom tonight, but I want to know what the most popular gift is going to be. So as soon as I ask my 8 friends what they want as their Mother's Day gift, then I'll make one. And an I is just like, throw a bunch of stuff in a box and put a bow on it. Like, who cares? So you got to be careful when you're working with all these people. All right. So the one thing, and so here's another way. So like, let's say Marty and I are meeting for coffee. And I don't know her personality. And I don't know. So this is another sheet I will scan and have on there. So what's interesting is how they dress. Typically, Ds will dress darker colored clothing, typically very sharp, very neutral, simple, classic, a lot of black, very classic stuff. Is typically wear bright colors, patterns, fun, latest fashion, multiple pieces of jewelry. S's, very comfortable. They're not concerned about being the latest fashion statement. Okay. C's, sometimes a little dated. They're all about comfort. Jewelry with a D, it's very simple and it's always real. Jewelry for an I is costume and lots of it, and it's fun. S is wearing something sentimental. It was a gift from somebody that was sentimental. It's really funny because I typically only wear real jewelry, but then every day I wear the bracelet that my son gave me while he was in Niger in an unsafe area in the Air Force. And so I guess you can be all of these, right? Okay, so handshake. The D is going to give you firm. She'll give you her first and her last name, which is interesting. And I will give you a firm handshake, give you their first name only, very casual. They love to hug. Must be me. And S forgets your name, forgets to give her name, or doesn't even give it at all. She'll sometimes shake your hand with two hands, and she'll always say pleasure to meet you, typically. So a little bit more formal. A C, short, minimal contact, probably won't hug you right away, doesn't like to be touched. I'm just saying, these are just, granted, I am making some generalized statements, but I want you to have that information. Okay, now this to me is the most important sheet out of all of these. And again, I will make sure that this gets scanned and put in boards. And you guys don't feel like you have to have a PhD in this. You just have to have kind of a little bit of an overview, but I'm just going to spend a couple quick minutes on this. So this is really important. This is, if you are this, how do the other personalities perceive you? Okay, so I'm going to pick on Cecile. She's new, but she says she's an I. So if you are an I and you meet with a D, a take charge, you meet with Janice Trudar National or whatever, you're going to want to be early and be prepared. You got to be organized because a D wants you to just, like, tell me how many I need. Tell me how much it costs to start a Mary Kay business. Tell me about that. They don't want a lot of fluff. So if you're an I and you're meeting with a D, you want to be early and prepared, be organized, get to the point quickly, no fluff, stay focused on the topic, dress to impress her. Okay. If you're an I and you're meeting with another I, oh, good grief, this could be a long meeting, but it's good. It's going to be a lot of fun, but you've got to get down to business at some point, right? You might have a 4 or 5 hour coffee date. You give them an exciting vision. You talk about how you are the expert and you're going to show them the ropes. So remember that. Give lots of recognition. Face-to-face contact is best when you meet with an I. All right. Now, if an I meets with an S, you want to dial it down. So if Cecile was meeting with an S personality, she would dial it down a little bit. She might be a little bit more reserved, very appreciative, consider their feelings. Like, thank you so much for driving all the way to Pleasant Hill to meet me. That really means a lot to me. Don't go overboard with too much stuff. Show them rewards of their of the product or how our business works and how it can help them, but don't do too much. Now, if an I meets with a C, you want to be over prepared because they're going to ask you questions. The I thought, that's a really good question. I never thought about that. I've been in Mary Kay a year. I never thought to ask that. So the I, when they meet with the C, be overly prepared, send materials in advance. That's a great idea. Send them a video about the company, maybe even a video with Ryan Rogers, the grandson, who's our current CEO. Maybe send them a link to marykay.com so they can check out corporate's website to see what we're doing globally. Be short, but give plenty of, no touchy-feely, respect their space, be thorough and logical, outline a plan, let them think about their decision. Okay? So this is really, really, really helpful when you guys are doing things. I think the hardest part is when you're a higher energy person, an extrovert, and you're meeting with an introvert. And Laura, if you don't mind, I'm just going to turn your video off, babe, just because we're recording and it just keeps it from the streaming from hiccuping. So thank you for that. I think the biggest challenge, to be honest with you guys, when you're meeting, you're trying so hard because you want them to see the pink side of the fence, right? If I'm doing a sharing appointment with Marty or Connie or Lenore or whoever, I am a high DI and my S and C are much lower. So these are almost the same. They're like within 1 point of each other, at least they were. So I tend to be extrovert, very people-oriented, outgoing, cut to the chase, all of those things. So when I'm with, and plus I'm almost 6 feet tall. So when I meet with these personalities, I intentionally slow my voice down, lower my energy, sit back in my chair, because I'm usually like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. You should do this with me. I can teach you how to get to the top fast. And they might be going, what? What's in the sample box? So just realize now, so I would dial it down. I don't want to not be me, but you all know what I'm talking about, right? Now, if you are one of these two, the S and C, and you're meeting with these, you really, so let's just take an S. We've got a couple S's in the group. So if you're an S and you're meeting with a D, build up your confidence. Like literally realize that you know all that you need to know. All right, don't use touchy-feely words. Bottom line it. Don't be afraid to close it. They will respect it. So you can literally say, well, I think you'd be great at this, Susan. What do you think? If she's a D, I think I could see you absolutely in leadership. I could see you driving a pink Cadillac. What do you think? Like there's nothing wrong with going big. Even though that might freak you out, it won't freak her out. Okay, if you're an S and you're meeting with an I, be a little bit more upbeat. So you got to bring up your energy. Maybe do some jumping jacks, do some exercise, listen to a great music or song, smile, have fun. They love friends. Okay, so I's love friends. So that's something really important. An S meeting with an S, be you. Be sincere, genuine, a good listener. Make sure they know that you have their best interests at heart. Move them into action one step at a time. In S meeting with the C, you need to do your research and know exactly what the questions are they might ask. Be short, but give plenty of facts. So I might even say, like, let's say I know that Connie is a C. If I'm an S, I might say, Connie, before we meet tomorrow, are there some specific areas that you'd like me to do some research on? Are there some specific questions you'd love answers on? And she might say, oh yeah, I want to know blah, blah, blah. And she can let you know, or yes, I'd love to know more about the company's financial situation. Well, if you don't know that, go on marykay.com, call your director, whatever. But I think this sheet to me is one of the most valuable because this is you, but this is how you're perceived. So let's just go back to a high D real quick for closing, to close this. If you're a D and you meet with another D, man, you're going to be done with that appointment quick. Make a decision, sign here, good to go. Here's your welcome letter, handshake, we're out of here, okay? Says confidence and professionalism is key. Let their D be a little bit bigger than your D, okay? And be precise. When a D meets with an I, lighten up a little. Just lighten up a little. Don't pressure them. Ask if you can get down to business. So you could literally say, is it okay if we start talking about Mary Kay? Because maybe you've spent the first half hour talking about the new puppy, okay? Make it easy, give very few details, and assure that you will do the paperwork. All right, now if a D meets with an S, take time to listen. An S wants to be heard. Do not be intimidating. You don't need to throw out a bunch of buzzwords that you know that they're not going to know. Well, you could do PCP, you could do this, you could do that. They don't know what that means. Okay, build a relationship. Let them know that you're going to be by their side every step, no matter how fast or slow. Ask if they feel comfortable. Avoid being pushy. Assure them that you're going to take care of whatever needs to get taken care of. And when a D meets with a C, send materials in advance. That could be a video, could be something written, could be the Mary Kay autobiography. Give options for decisions. Like you could say, well, let me tell you, if you started with the 35, this is what you get. If you start with the $45 sample box in addition, you could set yourself up for virtual, blah, blah, blah. If you decide to purchase the $90 box, this is what you would have for that. So that kind of gives them details. The eyes are going to go like, okay, what do I need? Just here's my card, just order it. All right, so you guys, this kind of material is really, really helpful when you are working with different personalities. Even if you have a hostess and your hostess often is an I personality or a D, and she'll say, oh my gosh, I can't wait for all my friends to come over. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be a blast. If you are not an I personality, you better think of something fun to do at the party. Maybe bring a gift for the person with the cutest pajamas, kind of like switch it up so that they have something to look forward to. Because when an I throws a party, everyone will want to come because an I always throws a fun party. Okay. All right. So you guys, this helps you when you're dealing with team members, hostesses, or how about just your family, dealing with kids, whatever. So I hope you guys have found this material helpful. Any of the handouts I will be posting, and please feel free to let me know if you have any questions at all.